Hello everyone, I'm here with Jay from Franklin Armory. We're going to be talking about the various lawsuits and everything. A lot of people have been asking us, what's going on with the Title I? And I'd love to help share some more information with that. First of all, I think it's very important that we clarify there are two lawsuits. Franklin Armory, they got their lawsuit, and then the CRPA and Chuck Michelle, they have their lawsuit, which is the mass action, which we can't really, cover too much because that's not on Franklin Armory's end. But I think a lot of people would love to know what's going on with that specific lawsuit and everything. Is there anything specific with it that's happened? I think a lot of people are just waiting, chomping at the bit to hear more.
So I do know that the mass action was the name of the original process, and then I heard that they're going to actually go back to a traditional class action. Something about the number of people and so on that led to a change there. But to be honest, I'm not in control of that. I just, we donated money, and we pointed out that there was what we believe to be a viable case. And so they've been working independently on that. Yeah. We have no control on it. But I do know that our attorney has been in discussions with them about reviewing the drafts before they get submitted, only because Jason Davis has a lot of experience in this particular case as well as the firearms industry as a whole, obviously. So he's reviewing theirs, and then Jason's actually filing a response to the state. They petitioned for demur, which just means that they try to nullify the case before it even goes anywhere.
Okay.
And so Jason has actually completed. It's the kind of thing with Jason. He'll always work something out, and then he'll put it aside for a couple of days and come back and woodshed it some more. So it's not quite ready to respond. And besides, there's a set period to where the deadline is, and it wouldn't speed anything up if you were to file it sooner. So I know they're reviewing each other's work at this point, and that there is action moving forward.
That's good to know. I think a lot of people are very anxiously awaiting their Title I's, and I love that you guys took that money from the refundable deposits and sent that over to CRPA to get that going, because it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of man hours to make these things happen. I think that's one thing that people don't realize. They're like, why hasn't anything happened? Well, there's deadlines, and you got to wait for certain processes, and it's a lot more work than you might imagine. And I can imagine that this has been talked about behind closed doors for a long time before it saw public eye. So I think one question I have is, how did you guys how did you come to realize that the Title I was a viable option? I know in the past with the CSW kits, so was that anything to do with how that came about?
Yeah, potentially. Basically what we're looking at was going back to probably 2010, 2011. There were individuals that would make a Title I, and not many. I think I only saw one or two floating around there.
Yeah, I've seen like one or two posts on CalGuns, I think, and that's...
So, it causes one to look at the penal code when they see that and go, okay, well, how does this comport with the law? And ironically, I looked at it and realized that it was legit and we could go and run with it. But when I brought it up to Jason, he said, we can't do it. And the reason why was because there's no definition of a rifle pursuant to specifically the assault weapons law. And there was a definition of a rifle related to short barrel rifles and so forth, but not originally related to assault weapons bill until a couple of years ago. They rewrote the assault weapon laws with I forget the name of the bill that went through where we got screwed again.
Exactly. The gun apocalypse year of 2016. No.
Yeah, so when they rewrote those laws, then they actually included a definition of a rifle. From there, we had what we needed to actually go to market with the Title I. And incidentally, I'll take an aside here, it was that definition that got me thinking about what ultimately became Reformation.
That's awesome.
Which affected things nationally, because the definition they used was not too much different, if at all, from the federal definition. So, but anyways, going back to Title I, prior to that we didn't have a definition, and so once we had their definition, we knew it was absolutely golden, and we had to, we had an original case against the state, and again they demurred, but along the way they gave us enough information that we didn't fight the demur because we felt we were good to go. So this would have been earlier in 2019 that the fruits of that, and not deposition but responses from their attorneys, gave us the information we needed to know that it was legitimate, that Title I would not be an assault weapon. So once we had that, we started and went through, and then we didn't know that the dealer's system, the DROS, DES, would actually be the next gate. And if I'd known that then, I think I would have brought that up in the demur, though Jason mentioned to me that that would have been a different color of a case. Okay. I mean, to me, it's the same thing. We got this product, we want to bring it to market.
I would like to sell this thing. It's legal. And allow me to do those.
So, anyways, then I can remember contacting DOJ and finding out, the BS story of, well, they use these antiquated computer programs and it might take a while. Okay, great. Well, the whole, you brought it up earlier about United Arab Emirates.
Yeah. It's a drop-down menu for where you were born, so country of origin. If you were born in the United Arab Emirates, there was no option. So I believe what we used to do was there was some sort of other, or you could put it in the notes, was the direction that we got, was if someone was born there, you need to put in the notes United Arab Emirates. And
speaking of the notes, that was another thing that we looked at doing, because with Title I you had the choice of rifle, shotgun, or shotgun, and a consolation while they were working on the computer system would be to just simply put it in the notes. Well, they would not allow that in my discussions with them, and I think also with the various dealers. Nobody else wanted to go out on a limb either, and I can't blame them, frankly.
Because if they're falsifying a form, if that's what, if the DOJ decides, no, we don't like the way you did that, that can come back as on their audits as improperly filed paperwork.
Really, it's more of it being tainted. I don't believe that it would taint the firearm, but for example, I have read cases where ATF dinged somebody for a short barrel rifle when they took a rifle lower that was tainted by the draw system as a rifle, and then they went and built out a pistol. Okay. Now, I think there were other kind of issues that were going on with those cases, from what I recall, but it still occurred where that was something that they were prosecuting on. So, I mean, we realized that the end goal was that we had to work with DOJ to see about getting that changed. And to this date, to my knowledge, it still hasn't changed. Nope. And if you get a Ned Buntline revolver with a barrel that's 16 inches, crazy Joker looking thing.
Yeah, pull it out and just get caught,
Right. But that's still something that doesn't have a way of legally transferring. I mean, I guess there's a single action exemption that somebody could use, but a rifle without a stock.
Barreled actions, for example. I know a lot of people used to get the Remington or the Howa barreled actions, and it's not designed to be shouldered at the current moment. It doesn't have a stock on it. What is it?
The 1919, and of course the Mossberg Cruiser, which has been around for decades.
Yeah, and those are actively sold. You go to any big box store and you see the 18-inch pump action firearm that fires a 12 gauge shot shell. I guess because you can't call it a shotgun, which is always a funny thing. It's a mouthful, I guess. So there's all those guns that we know that have existed for as long as California has had guns. I think a lot of people are very frustrated with that, myself included. I'm sure you guys are, with just having to deal with knowing that the DOJ can make that change, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, yeah, like we were saying, the United Arab Emirates thing, they had that done. I think it was about 30 days or so. It might have even been faster.
Yeah.
So we knew that they were just trying to hold us out there while they re-scratch out the law. You know,
the DOJ was saying, hey, we can only hold them on for so long. Legislature, please help. And I think that's watching the emergency budget bill where they discussed specifically naming Franklin Armory. That I was like, I paused it and I just started laughing. I was like, did they really just, I was like, I don't think you can do that. I don't know everything about the law. I'm not a lawyer, but I knew. I was like, that seems wrong.
We retained those quotes from the transcript, and it's up to the attorneys to see if that rises to the level of a bill of attainder or not.
There's few companies that I think would have been willing to even do anything like this, just making one, but I don't think there's any company that would be willing to actively fight, because you said since maybe 2010, early 2010s that you guys have been discussing this, and the second that you see the definition of a rifle, you start going forward with that. I think that's huge, just knowing that. I really appreciate working with you guys, because I know that it's a lot going on that you guys don't need to do. You guys could easily just make AR-15s, sell them where it's easy to sell them.
Which is everywhere about now.
Yeah, but us in California, having the support of a company that I know you guys started out in California. I remember seeing lowers that said Morgan Hill, California, when I was looking around for lowers, and I was like, that's cool, that's awesome. So just knowing that you guys actually care is huge for me. Yeah,
I mean, the trick is, being in California, you're sitting there. I remember when in 2000, when there was yet another assault weapon ban, and going through and reading the law and going, oh, well, you could fix that if you just did this, that, or the other thing, because it's if-then statements. You got to have your premise, elements, and then a conclusion. And if you break the chain, then lawfully you can do it.
That was
somebody ought to do that, I was sitting there thinking. And then, ultimately, we had the circumstance where we had a building where was vacant, and we needed to do something out of it, so why not sell guns and make guns and create new ideas and put them to market. So awesome. For your viewers, I mean, the next Jay Jacobson's probably watching this, and they just need to grab the bull by the horns and look at the law and jump in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really I like knowing that you guys are going to constantly be pushing the boundaries. 3 AR pistols on the roster, that's huge. I say it every video. I never would have thought that would be possible, and when I first saw it, I was skeptical. I was like, how the hell did they get away with that? And it's awesome knowing that it's totally legal. You can go to any gun store right now, and I'm happy to be involved.
I'd be surprised to see one at any gun store right now.
We were talking about that earlier today. Everyone commenting, messaging me like, hey, when can I get one? I've been looking forever. I'm like, well, when you make things in America by Americans and you're not sacrificing quality, and everybody in California wants one, it's might be a little difficult to find one.
Well, it's not just California. I mean, everything is just so pegged right now that we've only got so many machines. We do have vendors, and we've only got so many vendors that we work with that are qualified to do good work and pass our QC process. So just trying to get this volume out the door is incredible. We've got all of next year basically sold unless we increase capacity.
Yeah, and which I think you guys are with the new facility and everything. Brandon was telling me that's awesome. I think there's not many companies out there that are investing in the production lines. I think a lot of them are they're just working more. They're working later hours, working on weekends.
So that's where interesting thing with COVID was anytime you have an economic upset, there's opportunities to exploit in a good way.
Yeah.
Our machine vendors were just trying to get stuff off their dock because nobody wanted to make a decision.
Yeah.
Well, for us, that was a great buying opportunity. We saved probably 25% more than we otherwise would have. And so we bought like mad. We didn't go too crazy because we knew from our experience in 2013 that things do slow down over time and you don't want to be left holding the bag. So it was a great buying opportunity to get us to the next level that we wanted to be without being so overextended that when the market comes down eventually that you're not left high and dry.
That's awesome. I love seeing it because I know there's a lot of people in California that really want your guys' products and a lot of people nationwide that want a lot of the other much cooler things. The binary triggers, first time shooting those, that was an experience that I very much enjoyed. But yeah, thank you for talking. We can talk more off camera too, I'm sure, about some stuff. But this was an experience that I'll never forget. I'm so happy to be out here and hopefully come out in another couple months and
awesome.
See what else you guys are up to.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you. This is awesome. Yeah. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.